Alright, so in the bottom of the map, playing for Team Fire, we have Magicall. And in the top left, playing for Team Ice, we have Ytlander. Both seasoned alpha players, Magicall currently the reigning champion of Immortal Gates of Pyre. Will he get dethroned in the Immortal Alpha series that is coming up? Remains to be seen. We do see both players going with expansions first, which is typical of the meta at the moment. Then throwing on their ether extractors to start getting that increased ether production. We have just had a patch as well. So there's been a number of changes, including extra health to our favorite units, the Teapot. Buffs to dervishes and icors, so we might see some interesting early harass play out of the players, shaking up the meta a little bit, and a range of other kind of changes, bug fixes, and kind of stuff as well. Very standard opening so far though. Magicall throwing the altar down to get his production started, and the defensive Legion Hall from Ytlander with Orzoom. So not opting for going a forward Legion Hall, but maybe getting that hallowed ground on the high ground here in case he needs to defend against harass could be the thinking. This is a really exciting matchup. We've seen Ytlander and Magicall playing a lot of games against each other recently. So it'll be interesting to see what the players pull out, especially with the changes after the latest patch. Do have the Bone Stalkers coming out from Magicall now, hitting a slightly faster timing with his units. Ytlander throwing down the Soul Foundry as well. So we should, I think, see some early Dervish play, probably testing out the changes from the patch. Quite exciting. So far, just a single altar for Magicall though. Do you see Magicall start taking the first fire camp of the game? He could be contested here by Ytlander. Ytlander does have a smaller number of units though, so it'll be interesting to see. Oh, we do see one Bone Stalker drop. One of the Zentaris does go down though. So we've only got 3 Bone Stalkers left, 1 Zentari. That's a fairly even trade. Slightly in the favor of Magicall. Do have more Zentari coming out. And a Dervish in production as well. Starting to see what Ytlander can do with that. And Magicall does manage to secure the Pyre. More Bone Stalkers and now an Amber Womb coming out as well. So we may also see some early Icor play. We do see Ytlander now picking up the second Pyre camp uncontested, and Magicall heading for the Pyre miners in the top of the map. So neither player opting for early harass just yet. Instead going to secure Pyre across the map. And it looks like we'll end up actually being quite even in terms of Pyre for each player. Teapot does drop, taking damage from the Pyre miner camp. Despite him being a chunky boy these days, he's just not quite that chunky. You have a Dervish Centauri just hanging out. Making a play for the Teapot. Bone Stalkers are coming in from the south. Magicall is trying to get a pick off, but looks like... Oh, and we do have the defensive Orzoom tower. So in a recent patch, Orzoom gained the ability to put down a tower foundation and then build a tower. And you can see Ytlander using that to his advantage, placing a defensive tower right at the entryway to one of the 2 main entries to the base, with a third one possible once you destroy the rocks as well. So very interesting defensive play here. It is an excellent spot to have a tower. It makes it very hard to push in and to get surprised by a harass as well. Ytlander does, I think, have enough Pyre for an Empire Unbroken as well. If he feels too threatened, but it looks like Magicall is pushing back and opting to just take the Pyre camp instead. I really do like this tower placement. I think it makes it much easier to defend against early aggression or early timing attacks like a 2-base or just off the back of a 3-base timing attack. We do have the Thrums out from Magicall, so we will see them coming in for some harass. We do have 2 Zephyrs coming out probably just in time here to counter the Thrums, but they are heading in the wrong direction. Ytlander's going to need to quickly pull them back, which he does, and would expect to now see him come and defend against these Thrums. At the same time, we do have an Ichor slipping into the back of the base, but we have a full wall off. I think it's a full wall off, maybe a 1-unit gap. And between that and the tower, it's going to be very difficult for anyone to try and push in and get harass other than through the Thrums and air units. Oh, we do have a huge battle going on here, which I managed to miss part of. All of Ytlander's army getting destroyed. He has been doing some harass in the back line with Dervish, but his entire army now is wiped out. He is rebuilding some forces in his base, but he's going to need to pull those Zephyrs again to defend against the Thrums. They do get 1, 2 moats. Can they get a third? 3 moats. Can they get a fourth? 4 moats. Oh my god. The moat massacre. 5. No. 6. 7. Oh no. 7. 8. 8 moats for very little damage taken. And that's even with this defensive tower. So that is some amazing harassment play from Magicall there. Absolutely decimating the economy. And that's off the back of successfully getting an army wipe as well. He did, I think, lose his mineral line. I didn't quite catch that if Magicall had managed to pull them back. That looks like too many, so I think he mustn't have lost them all. Got a 3rd base up, and he is already starting to build his 4th. So Magicall looking in a really strong position. Sending more Thrums in for harass in the backline, and then there are no Zentari at home. So he's going to have free reign over both. Oh, we do have the Sentinels coming out though. Excellent counter to the Thrums. These fast moving anti-air units should be able to hold off 5 Thrums without too much trouble. Couple of moats lost, but not too bad. And the Ichor does go down just in time for the Magi not to die. You see the Thrums and Sentinels dueling. And a Scepter also harassing the 3rd. I think the challenge here for Ytlander is going to be this 4th base from Magicall. He's able to get a really strong economic lead, then it's going to be quite challenging for him to stay in the game, especially with Magicall having a larger army supply, at least at the moment. We have some Sentinels, lots of Zentari, a Magi, some Dervish. A pretty strong composition. 4 Sentinels there to make sure those Thrums don't cause trouble. We do have the Resonance up for Magicall as well. Will make it quite hard for Ytlander to push in. And they easily secure the Pyre. Pull back. Got his Thrums working on the Pyre miner camp as well. See what else, what other tech we have. So just the Amber Wombs, single Amber Womb for the moment. Bone Canopy, Neurosight. Second Amber Womb and Red Veil. We may see some Red Sisters coming out. You have the Underspines as well to help create that creep for the Resonant. You can see Magicall really taking advantage of Resonance to try and break the defense of Ytlander as they are able to outrange the tower. We do see Ytlander pushing in, but Magicall cast Great Hunt, reducing the vision of Ytlander's units. And so many of Ytlander's units have dropped. He is in a really tough position. The tower does go down. Tower foundation's now getting destroyed. Oh, and a Zol summon as well from Magicall. He really went all in. Or maybe that's part of Great Hunt now. I'm not actually sure. Thumbs coming in opportunistically. We don't have the Sentinels getting pulled. We do have the defensive pillar here from Ytlander to try and hold. But the resonance with the underspines are just a little bit too strong. We do have Hallowers coming out, which should help push Magicall back. You can see him pulling out. Now, the Sentinels have managed to go clear at the thumbs, but it looks like a lot of motes were lost in the process. And it's just further extending Magicall's economic lead. He's going up to a 5th base now. And Ytlander has not even started his 4th. And with that harassment to his worker line as well on his main, it's going to be quite difficult to come back. And the moat gets lost on the 4th too, further delaying it getting spun up. It's not looking good for our valiant hero Ytlander. He does manage to secure some Pyre, which will help. And splitting his army to try and defend that 4th. We would expect him to try and get spun up quite soon. Drums are coming in, but the Sentinels are at the ready, but will they see them? Oh no. Sentinels are just a little bit too far back to see or attack the Thrums. They should be able to respond though, and it will be quite difficult for many of the Thrums to survive with so many Sentinels. At the same time, we have a huge engagement, which I just missed on the minimap, where Ytlander lost most of his army. Getting caught out there, most of his army destroyed. He has managed to salvage the Hallowers, but it's just not going to be enough at this stage. There's too many resonance, too many underspines. A couple of red sisters, making it very difficult for Ytlander to hold this off. Same time, he has managed to get up to a 4th base, but this is at the same time that we see a 6th coming out from Magicall as well. The reinforcements getting taken down by the sieged underspine resonant combination. Those underspines with the creep giving just additional range for resonance as well. We've got the behemoths added into the combination, and we have the GG called. Very exciting game. Strong defensive start from Ytlander, but a couple of engagements where he lost his army, combined with not being able to get much harassment done in return, just left Magicall with far too much of an economic advantage, which he then used to hold Ytlander in place, build even more bases, and take the game. So very exciting game 1 in this series. Welcome to game 2 of our series, Ytlander versus Magicall. Game 1 did go to Magicall in an exciting match of economic dominance. We're now going into game 2. Both players have chosen Orzum as their immortal. So we do have a mirror match up here. And that is a change for Magicall as well, who was playing as Zol in game 1. So mixing up his immortal and faction. We do have Magicall in the bottom of the map playing for Team Fire, and Ytlander playing for Team Ice at the top of the map. We do see fast expansions for both players. So the same opening at this stage. If we just think about game 1, it'll be interesting to see if Ytlander goes for the same defensive Orzum tower. The tower actually did work really well. It helped him hold against harass in the early game. It was only once Magicall was able to already get an economic advantage, underspines and resonance, that he was able to push it down. So still a really strong start. We do have some shenanigans coming out from Magicall though, with a very forward Legion Hall. Pretty much a proxy Legion Hall right near the Pyre camp. It'll be very interesting to see if he's able to hold that. In response, we do see Ytlander going double Legion Hall. I imagine he hasn't cancelled his second, his natural. So he's not going full on commit into countering this move. And his Legion Hall is a bit slower. So he will have a tough time, I think. Because Magicall will be able to get 4 Zentari out, have the Hallowed Ground help him out micro as well. So it will be quite interesting. Now, the actual health and shields of production buildings were also buffed in the latest patch. So Magicall could be experimenting with just how much he can take advantage of the fact that these buildings now have extra health. Oh, and we see the Orzum Tower foundation going down as well. So this looks like full map dominance kind of strategy here from Magicall. Can he just take over the center of the map, skewering the Pyre and giving himself a really good position to push in and harass when Ytlander tries to go for his third? We do have 4 Zentari out from Ytlander now. The 4th Zentari for Magicall just finishing up as well. 1 Zentari does go down. And none dropping for Magicall. Some really excellent micro. We are up to 6 Zentari. No, sorry, 5. Sorry, he did lose one. 5 Zentari for Ytlander. How much damage can he do to this tower before Magicall gets back there with his units? Do you see some melee micro battles going on? One of the Zentari for Magicall do drop. We do have Zephyrs getting built as well, which should help with the micro. Magicall does not have enough Pyre for an Empire Unbroken, so he may lose the tower here. The foundations, though, do remain, so he can rebuild it. But he will need to defend against the Zentari pushing in here. He does have the range advantage, but the Zentari dropped. I think Magicall will be able to hold this just, although he will have lost a lot of units in the process. There's another Zephyr going down. But I think Magicall will hold. And he immediately starts building another tower. What a fascinating strategy here from Magicall. Just trying to really dominate the middle of the map. He gets the Pyre camp pretty much uncontested at this stage. Really interesting use of the new Orzum Tower. Let's see what else is being built at the base. So we do have a Soul Foundry now coming up for Magicall. The second Ether Extractor. Soul Foundry is already up for Ytlander and two Dervish being built. We do have a Reliquary coming up as well. Magicall already has a Reliquary. So got the Magi, and we may even have Windstep on the Zephyrs as well. So strong army composition here from Magicall. It's going to make it. Oh, and we have the base expansion. He's taking his 3rd base in the middle of the map, defended by this tower with the Hallowed Ground from the Legion Hall. Just rebuild the map, why don't you, Magicall? Just remake it. You can create, well-defended bases wherever you want, mate, apparently. We do see Ytlander pushing in to harass the natural. And we do have a wall off here as well, so the moats just all except one getting completely massacred. The Dervish are doing some work. The Magi getting some heals out. One of the Dervish does drop. We do see a surround coming in here for Magicall, and another Dervish drops. His units are getting hemmed in. how many more of the Zentari are going to drop before he can get them home to safety. Will be interesting to see if Magicall pulls out a wind step. It may or may not. Oh, and he puts up another tower foundation just to secure the other half of the middle of the map. I really, really love this build from Magicall. This is a really fascinating use of the new Orzoom Immortal ability, which lets you put those foundations down for towers. He's got his third base up in the middle of the map. Ytlander hasn't managed to get a third up yet. Ytlander does have enough Pyre that he could make a play here. And his army supply is quite significant, so he may be able to push in. But it's just going to be so hard because he has to defeat this army as well as pushing in against this tower, fighting against an enemy that has hallowed ground. It's going to be really difficult. It'll be interesting to see if he's able to deny this tower. We do see the Empire Unbroken come out from Magicall as well. Oh no, the Magi are caught out. They do manage to just survive with Magicall grabbing the Pyre here as well. And we have a wall-off being built in... Wow. I've also never seen this before. Using the building that lets you build your static defense to wall off is new. We do have the pillar. At the same time, we have Magicall pushing in on the natural as well. So a bit of a base trade situation. We may have a base race situation here, actually. The challenge for Ytlander will be that Magicall has this sneaky third base chilling out in the middle of the map. He is building a third of his own. And he will be faster, but it looks like he really is committing in to this base race. The main does drop. And we do see a commitment here of Ytlander to take out the production of Magicall as well. At the same time, we have Magicall pushing into Ytlander's main as well. Ytlander does eventually pull his units out, but he is going to need to get back in time to defend. And I think maybe Ytlander has not scouted this base, which puts him at a real disadvantage. I think he's trying to find where Magicall's last base is. But he's searching for all the regular places where you'd normally expect a base to be. But this amazing move from Magicall, setting up a tower, building a base in the middle of the map, has totally thrown Ytlander. We do have two bases, one base fully up and one base in construction for Ytlander, which has prevented the GG from being called from the destruction of all of his bases. And we do see Magicall cleaning up the reliquary and the production buildings of Ytlander as well. That said, we see Ytlander coming back in, and he gets the pickup of a Hallower for his troubles. I think Magicall does know about that base. I think Ytlander still doesn't know where Magicall's base is. It's completely thrown him for 6. He's searching the main again. He's sending motes out to scout in the places you would normally expect a base. But he just doesn't know where. And now with all of his production buildings destroyed, this is absolutely GG. Just a matter of time before Magicall cleans up the last 2 bases. We do have one Scepter defending the base for Ytlander. I think he maybe has realized that the extra base is in the middle of the map. We do have a moat here. which I thought it was for scouting, but maybe it's for another sneaky expansion. I don't know. And we do have the GG coming out from Ytlander. What an incredible game to watch. That's a completely new strategy, at least to me, for Orzum. Building forward towers, securing bases in the middle of the map, securing the Pyre. Just amazing.